20 years before, nobody knew or heard this term. It was new for us, okay? Or probably one in 2,000 or 3,000 kids had autism. Slowly, I could see that the number started to grow. It was one in 500, 300, and now the data says it's one out of 30, but who knows, it can be even one out of 10. Every parent thinks the child is good, best. They wanted their child to become that way. So when you go and tell them your child isn't normal, your child is different, their mind doesn't take it in the first sense. Very recently, last week, I met a parent of mine who came and we were having a session. I was doing a counseling. She asked me this question: can it be reversed? I had to be hard in saying that, see, this cannot be reversed. Your child can never go back to that. But
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rashmi Conversations. I was just recently reviewing my channel, and what I observed was that over 90% of my viewers are not yet subscribed. Your subscription helps me grow. So, while watching this episode, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I always try to bring in, interesting guests who will be adding value to the listeners and the viewers. And today I have with me a very interesting person. About a decade back, hearing about autism or a special child, they were very far in few cases. But of late, even on social media and in real life, we all are encountering autism or a child in the special spectrum. We encounter such cases very often. So I'm having here with me Dr. Devaki Balaji, who's an entrepreneur and special child family counselor. And I invited here today because I read this rather shocking statement which said that 1 out of every 30 kids today are diagnosed with autism. Dr. Devaki Balaji, I'm so excited to have you here. And to start with, please tell me a little bit about yourself.
thank you so much for having you today. I'm glad that I'll be able to share some of the knowledge or my journey that I've faced in the last 20 years. So, I'm Dr. Devaki Balaji, an edupreneur and inspirational speaker. I always love teaching kids. And also proud to say that I'm a mom of a 20-year autistic child. I think that's why I'm here mainly here today. So I run an inclusive preschool named APJ International and an APJ Academy, which is an institute which caters to various after school activities or courses for kids. We're offline and online across countries as well. So I'm glad, looking forward to discuss my journey in the last, whatever we went through in the last 20 years.
Devaki, why did you champion this cause? I mean, you are telling me that you have a son who is specially abled and he's 20 years old, but there would have been a reason why you decided to champion this cause. What was that reason?
Generally, whenever we come across a challenge, it's human psychology to look up to somebody, to check if they have faced a similar issue, because we will try to get help or information or knowledge or assistance from them. But imagine, at least we are in an era where internet is bloomed and every information is there available in a just click, right? But 20 years before, when I started this journey, I was clueless, left like nowhere. In fact, 20 years before, nobody would have heard this term autism. My family or friends or people around me never heard this term. It was new for us. So the challenges that I went through in the last 20 years, the bushes that I've beaten around, made me feel that it doesn't end with my child. It needs to be communicated, advocated. I think the support system should grow so that at least this generation or the upcoming parents where the children are diagnosed with autism would not face similar problem. Probably sharing this information would help them. That's the reason I started to talk a lot about it, create, because I felt awareness was missing. It's not a situation that you go and blame anybody for that matter. People didn't know about it.
I just said about this data which I read, which said that 1 out of 30 kids today are diagnosed with autism. That's a startling number. And have you also observed this trend? Because I don't think that was the case, or I never read such a stat a decade back, or say 15 years back. Also, if it is such a startling number, it is such a high statistic, how should a parent who's having this kind of a diagnosis for a first time handle that situation?
You are exactly right. Like I said, 20 years before, nobody knew or heard this term. It was new for us, okay? Or probably 1 in 2000 or 3000 kids had autism. Slowly, I could see that the number started to grow. It was 1 in 500, 300, and now the data says it's 1 out of 30, but who knows, it can be even 1 out of 10. Every street, we find an autistic child. I'm a part of many forums where every day parents get added to the forum, which is so alarming that the special need children in the society are growing. And of course, there are discussion, and there are clue, or we couldn't find out the causes for the alarming situation, because the causes or the reasons are n in number. Okay, we could not find the exact reason for this. Having said this, I think the awareness should spread. So, parents who are currently being diagnosed their children with autism or special need had to have a different mindset. I think the mindset shift is what is required. But I have, in my journey, I've met a lot of parents. Day in and out, I counsel a lot of parents, and I see what is the challenge they go through. What is the kind of mindset shift I had, which helped me to thrive and grow better in the journey. That's something that I keep, you know, talking to these parents. Okay. And the first thing that I see is acceptance. Acceptance is not there because you can take, for example, any parent or even a mother or father, they expect a child, right? There's so much of dream there about the upcoming child. But once a doctor or a professional diagnose them with autism, which is something new for them, it looks like the entire dream is shattered in a minute, which they didn't expect. I think getting a baby or a child itself is like a package full of surprises, but this happens to be a shocking surprise. So it is, I think it's normal for them to get overwhelmed, not to accept, because every parent thinks the child is good, best. They wanted their child to become that way. So when you go and tell them your child isn't normal, your child is different, their mind doesn't take it in the first sense. So I think it's okay to get overwhelmed. It's okay to get shocked. It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to go in a grief or sad mode, but it's not okay to stay in that mode for a long time. One thing that in my journey, what I did was I understood my child was different and I accepted it. That is exactly when I was able to, work on a, solution for it, or find out ways to improve his life. Parents who are currently facing the situation, recently diagnosed with special needs children, I think you will have to quickly come out of the phase of grief, accept the situation and start to look around for better options so that your life and your child life will improve for the better.
One of the things I was curious to understand is autism is a spectrum. Now, if you take individuality of any child, some children are naturally naughty, some children are naturally not very social. Now, the problem is because there's so much of social talk about autism, I sometimes wonder if everybody is getting bucketed into some spectrum of autism. Is that possible?
True. See, I see this case almost every time. Because of all this going on in social media, now the clarity is missing. There are parents who are afraid or who assume the child might be autistic or hyperactive, but they seem to be actually naughty. So, taking a normal child to be an hyperactive or autistic child is also
So
happening.
there are specific tests which actually can determine whether a child is actually
Exactly.
autistic or that is just the personality of the child.
See, exactly. It's basically you observe the milestone of the child, okay? And a child in the autism spectrum disorder will basically have lack of eye contact or social behavior. They will be lacking in social behavior. They would not respond to your name calling, or they would not respond to your verbal speech or instruction. So most of the areas where it gets lacked or affected in terms of autism is the sensitivity or the social awareness, lack of communication. So these are areas where the parent has to observe, and if they have a doubt, it is good to go and approach a psychologist, run a proper test to diagnose if the child is anywhere in the spectrum, not to assume. Because like I said, people assume the normal kids to be hyperactive or autistic, and there are parents who where the child is in the spectrum, they think they are normal and naughty. So both ways it is difficult, or both ways it is wrong. It is very important that we diagnose so that early intervention is possible.
This is the diagnosis bit. You've been a mother of a special child for 20 years. Have you ever come across a child who has not been diagnosed because of lack of information, as an adult, an undiagnosed autistic child, what is the reality of life for them?
To be very frank, as an adult in urban cities, no, because they would have been diagnosed in some point of walk of life. But yes, I do see a lot of kids, let's say the age of 4 or 5, still not accepted, diagnosed, or not even approached for diagnosis. Because when they come for a school admission, by just looking at the child for, let's say, 10-15 minutes, observing the child, because of my experience, I'll be able to diagnose whether the child is in the spectrum or not. There are very, there are strategies, there are very important, few symptoms which clearly tells that. But as a parent, they think that is normal, or they kind of tell to themselves it is normal, the child will become normal. Okay, so that is where they don't diagnose. Or when I keep talking to them, I would understand, I'll try to dig the history to understand the child's situation. That's when I come to know that somebody would have told them the child isn't okay, but they did not accept, or so they skipped the diagnosis part. So there are kids like that who are close to 5 years or 6 years, sometimes 7-8 years. I've seen they have not diagnosed, they accepted the child as they are, and they thought the child is naughty, things would improve over a period of time. Then I insist them to go ahead and go for the diagnosis, because early the better is solution.
You know, we are constantly talking about diagnosis. Um, are you saying autism is a disease?
Many people think it's a disease, which is a wrong notion or a stigma, I would say. Autism is not a disease, because a lot of times they ask me, even they've asked me, they ask the other parents as well, have you given medicines? Is it cured? When it is going to be cured? So I wanted to really make it very clear. Autism is not a disease. It is a neuro developmental, I wouldn't say disorder, but a condition. It's a condition of the child. It's going to be a lifelong condition. Very recently, last week, I met a parent of mine who came, and we were having a session. I was doing a counseling. She asked me this question: can it be reversed? I had to be hard in saying that, see, this cannot be reversed. Your child can never go back to that, but we can always work towards the betterment of the child. So people should understand it's a neurodiversity or a neurotypical condition where your child will be different. Your child doesn't have a disease, so it doesn't mean that he or she is less than normal or less performing. They are different. They will do things differently, and you have to accept that they will be different. Instead of trying to fit them into your world, you will have to get into their world and do things differently, so that their strengths will come out and they will thrive. Not only thrive, they'll perform. So it's not a disease to be cured. Anytime an autistic child can never be reversed by giving medicine. A lot of parents, because of lack of awareness, go to different doctors, spend a lot of money, end up in giving a lot of medicine, which actually affects the child's brain, as well as a lot of side effects are around that. I've seen cases like that.
You know, autism is sensationalized in the media. What I'm trying to say is, if you see, there are a lot of serials which say that there is this autistic detective and he's like the best in, being a spy or being the detective. Or there's a musician who's best because he's autistic. Or, the great minds are autistic. That's why they excel at something. You can romanticize this condition, but is it true? Do they actually excel at areas? And how do you identify your child's strength?
Definitely it is true, because since we say special child, they come with some special talent, which is 200% true. But it's very, very important that we identify them at the right time, so that you'll be able to make them excel in the talent. I would definitely say mothers have to be the detective here. Okay, as a mother, when you observe your child on an everyday basis, let's say, for example, I've seen a child who has won the Super Singer title. So there are kids who are very good in singing. There are kids who are, who love music. There are kids who are beautiful in art. I recently know a child who has blindness as well as intellectual disability, and she has done her MA in music, and she started to teach music. So kids in the autism spectrum disorder definitely have a innate strength and quality. It is the parents' responsibility to observe the child very closely, find out the areas of interest where they become really excited. So when you can find that, you'll be able to tap them and take them to the next level. For example, I put my son in swimming class just for a therapy, and when I kind of observed him for quite some time, I felt the strokes came naturally. So we felt that competitive spirit in him. That's when I was able to train him to a competitive level. Now he's performing in national and international level. Similarly, like I said, not everybody can become swimmer. One child might be good in music, dancing, cooking, some are chef. So there are various aspects or areas they will be definitely good at. And autistic kids generally have a beautiful memory which you and me might not have. We might forget things that we watched yesterday, but they give importance to minute details and they will remember them for lifetime. So there are kids with very beautiful logical thinking. There are kids with exceptional memory which can be tapped, and there are kids who broke world record. So I think mothers are the best detective here. Put in all your creativity, observe the child, find out their strength, and you can work on that. They will excel more than the normal or the neurotypical child, I would say.
You spoke about a lot of kids, parents who come up to you for help thinking their child is autistic, whereas they might have been just naughty. 20 years back, when you felt your child was different, your friends and family would have said, that's how kids are, it's okay. How did you overcome that personally?
Let's say, for example, my son did not walk or speak at the age of 1 or 2. Even my own mom, she said this, okay, it's a boy. He might take time to walk. Generally kids are slow, boys are slow. These kind of stereotypical statements were there. And yes, like I said, friends, family, nobody knew that there's a condition like autism. Probably we would have seen physically differently able kids or a mentally retarded child, an intellectual disability, something that talks about autism was completely missing. So, like I said, I was clueless. It took me longer time to even realize and diagnose. Okay, it took me 4.5 years when the school called me and told me that he's different, he's repeating whatever the teachers are saying, he is behaving differently. It was a shocking surprise to me, but I started to explore and research about it. When I started researching, I learned about a term called learning disability. I kind of got curious and I started researching more about, talking to my friends in corporate. That's when I understood there is certain challenges like this. Then the whole process started. But we wasted 4.5 5 years because of the environment and surrounding, family, friends. Even after getting the diagnosis, when he was diagnosed with autism, I kind of understood and accepted. But it took me years for me to even make my own parents or family member understand he is performing or behaving like this because he is different. They kind of always label, he doesn't listen, he doesn't behave properly, you're not raising so these kind of challenges you will definitely face. There was a stage I had to literally move and separate myself to for the betterment of my child. Okay, because there are situations where you should not have the child watch the TV, because all that they watch, as videos or pictorial or video representation goes straight, because they will have a photographic memory, whatever they watch through. So your parents might be sitting and watching serial. You can't allow your child to do that. I had the similar situation. It was very difficult for me to explain to everybody that he was different. So I took a back seat. I moved myself. I had to work. I was very aggressive. I had no TV connection for more than 8 years in my home. Uh, that was the goal. I took it as a challenge and I worked on it. So I understood it's very difficult for you to explain to them because they're already in that age. So it's very difficult. So it is the mother's responsibility. Whatever people say, I took it as a mother's responsibility to raise your child properly. So
This conversation, about 6 months back, I met a parent in an acquaintance circle. She has a 2-year-old, and she feels the kid is autistic. Now, the husband is the earning member of the family, and he doesn't want to. He feels she's just being over dramatic because she's a woman and she's the mother. And the child is left with the mother in law who watches serial the whole day, and the child is forced to, because they both work. So she is in a conundrum because she needs financially, you have to be financially be able to take the child somewhere and diagnose, and one partner is not willing to accept the child mother's judgment. So yeah, this It's a reality in a lot of homes, I'm sure, where a lot of people are not able to come out, even if they feel there is a problem.
I have read a lot of stories in social media where the husband has abandoned the family because of the situation. There are many women who are like a single parent trying for this. I think that's where, that is why I'm doing what I'm doing, I would say. That is where a counselor comes into picture, where both the couple needs to understand the child's actual situation, work together, and for the betterment of family, because we call it as a family. And most of the time, I think it's the social stigma and stereotypic condition where for everything about the child, the mother used to be blamed. The mother takes the
Yeah,
entire
totally.
blame. I think the entire life we would not come out of that guilt mode also. Even including me, at every point of my walk of my life, I have that guilt mode. I could have done better for my child. Because the society makes us feel that way. For every single thing, it's not just the mother's responsibility. When two people are involved in bringing the child to this world for the betterment of the child, bringing up the child is the entire family's responsibility. As you rightly said, be it mother-in-law or mother or anybody in that family, if the family can understand and take it as a family goal and help child the child can actually come out in flying colors. But most of the families lack that. So the only solution that I can say is the couple have to go to a counselor, like a family counselor who has undergone the similar situation, so they'll have empathy, they'll better connect with the family need. See, when somebody comes to me for counseling, it's not that look into the child's report. I understand what is the environment at home, because that's very important. The environment in which the child grows actually contributes to that. Like I said, for me, the situation was difficult. I moved him from my mom's place. I made myself alone. I took the help of friends and went around. And luckily, I was blessed with a beautiful adjusting partner. So we used to sit, talk with each other, understand, divide our work. We used to plan to keep running around everywhere because you can't be there all the time, right? So we used to do that. Of course, there were meltdowns, there were situations you broke. It all happens. But it's good you reach out a counselor so that you understand what kind of changes you make to the family environment. If that can be done, it's well and good for the child. Or it's good that the mother and child move to an environment which can help the child. Because at the end of the day, yes, financial support is very important, but there are always ways to, support and make things work even from home. There are a lot of work from home options. Of course, it's the individual's choice.
I was just about to ask this follow up question about you telling me that a mother has to invest all her time to identify the strength of a special child. And that's not a small task. Even for a normal child, investing like first 10 years of a kid's life, you really invest a lot of your energy into it. Okay. How, with you investing all your time to ensure your kid found that special path, the right path, how had it impacted your family life? Or how does it impact the family life of a woman with a special child, with a husband, and especially with a sibling who's normal?
Okay. So that's a fantastic question. I think many would face this difficulty. When my child was diagnosed, I took a break from my corporate life. It was a combined decision, and my husband was able to support that. So I took a break completely because that was a phase where I felt the child needs the entire attention. Because once you diagnose, you have to run around therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, many things. Okay. And what I did was I kind of, figured out. I did my ABA, which was very, very helpful. It's a course called Applied Behavior Analysis, where you try to correct the behavior of a child using ABZ technique. It's a tool. So when I mastered that, I was able to apply ABA for not only for my child, even for my husband. Any person's behavior can be corrected using ABA. So what I did, I designed a morning routine and a night routine kind of stuff where in the morning as a family we go to the park. I make the child play. We used to play shuttle or tennis where you relax for some time. Similarly, at night when my husband comes home, we used to play. I involve the child and my husband, and that's how the initial years were okay, where I made a routine chart for everybody, because an autistic child cannot accept a change. So you have to plan your routines very, very clear. Everything is in list, like black and white, and they go by the list. When you want to alter something, make changes to the routine, you have to prepare them the previous day itself. So Just like any other business preparation, you make a preparation, there will be list at home. I will stick it up here and there. This is how my life went on. Of course, I would have probably say if elderly people in the family helps, in this kind of situation, the couple's time also would, become better. But unfortunately, I didn't get that. In case families where there are elderly people are there, where the grandmother or father steps in, takes care of the child for some time, probably the husband and wife relationship also would be better. I think that is something people should understand. When it comes to sibling, it's very, very important that we do a lot of homework. So from the time I planned for my second baby, from the gestation, I prepared my autistic son that he is awaiting a baby where he is the hero, he is the brother. So that kind of mental setup or mental information I kind of did, showing the pictures, the scan reports, the size of the baby. I kept doing that. So what I did was, the autistic boy is now ready to receive a new baby. He is not going to be overwhelmed or excited or feeling left out. After doing that, once the second baby is in place, the mistake most mothers do is either give complete attention to the autistic child and see that the second one is okay, will be taken care, or the other way around. Once a newborn is there, they're always with the newborn, the elder one feels left out. So I think it's very, very important. Each and every child should be seen, heard, felt, celebrated. I'm very, very clear. Because you have a neurodiverse child in a family, a neurotypical or the normal child shouldn't suffer. Similarly, the other way around. So, the time that you give for every child should be separate, also the family time. And as the sibling, the normal one, grows, it's very, very important that you communicate, educate, and help him or her understand why your sibling behaves differently. Otherwise, the other child gets in it happens even in my family. The other child gets into frustration mode, feels exhausted, feels left out, everything happens. But then and there I sit with him, educate him why it's happening, what is happening, how he should react. So age appropriate education and awareness should be created. And I think the father also should play a role in this, so that as a family there's harmony and there's a lot of time. The autistic child also can perform better by seeing this. There are, in my case, my elder one would listen to my younger one. You tell me, I will listen. He have said that because you create that expectation in each of the child. So that is very important. So the mother's role is crucial here. You talk to the child, communicate, make sure you give undivided attention to each and every individual, be it your kids as well as your husband. So that is something we love to work on. Like I said, you become a detective, you become an adventurer, you become advocate, you become everything. Because it's not a situation to be blamed, it's a situation to be understood, and you play the best role out of it. That's all. So I think that will make your life better.
You know, if there were two key things that you would like to tell a mother who's watching this episode or a family who's watching this episode, what would those two things be?
For me, one thing that I took it from my life lesson is, because there are a lot of times I felt like quitting. Okay. And I think it's okay. We would feel, because you will feel left out, frustrated, exhausted, lot. And what one thing that's overlooked is the mental health also. Many mothers think that I should give my entire attention to my son or daughter who's in spectrum and we don't take care of her health. So I think self care is the one important thing that's overlooked in this journey. So please take care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to be good enough mentally, physically to help your child. So take care of yourself. So my life lesson is never ever give up on you or your child unless and until the last option is tried out. We have n number of options available now, not like those days. We have so many different forums, support group. So the first thing is never give up on you and your child without trying every option available. And the second thing is you're not alone in this journey. You're not alone. Earlier we used to feel that we are alone. Now you're not alone in this journey. Seek for help. Ask for help. That is something that we should be aware of. Never hesitate to ask. There are support groups, similar parents with the similar challenge will understand better. So connect with those parents, their experience, their journey, their challenges would help the co-parents. So don't think you're alone. I think together we can, create a better place or better world for our children to live.
Dr. Devaki, this was such an insightful conversation. Thank you so much. And I'm going to meet you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was great to share my experience. For quite some time, I've been, reflecting on what I did. Sometimes it feels, oh, we have done so much. We have come a long way. And I think still a long way to go. Thank you so much.
Yes.